Useless. The core system you built has shut down. Fix it now. Robert Taylor, the department head, suddenly calls me while I'm working at our Germany branch. It seems the core system developed and maintained by Davis Systems for the Sky Group has stopped. The Sky Group is a large corporation that distributes products throughout the United States. If such a company's core system goes down, it will undoubtedly cause a massive disruption. What? You demoted me, so that's impossible. I'm sure both Davis Systems and the Sky Group are in a panic right now. However, I had no intention of returning just because Robert Taylor said so. Before my transfer, I asked what would happen to the core system. But Robert Taylor demoted me just because he didn't like me, regardless of that. I ignore his words and continue working in Germany. Meanwhile, the damages to the Sky Group keep escalating, leading to an unexpected downfall for Robert Taylor, the one responsible. I'm Richard Anderson, 45 years old. I work at the headquarters of a system development company called Davis Systems. This company is famous for creating the core system for a large trading company, the Sky Group. A core system is designed to efficiently handle tasks such as sales management and HR management. Doing everything manually would take an immense amount of time, so the larger the company, the more essential a core system becomes. The Sky Group is a publicly traded company that wholesales a wide range of products from daily necessities to food items, boasting top sales figures in US. Building a core system for such a large corporation comes with significant responsibility. After several years of careful planning, taking various risks into account, the system construction project was successfully completed. Due to this achievement, Davis Systems became a well-known name in the industry. This multi-year project brought us significant accomplishments and trust. But there were certainly hardships amidst the dazzling glory. The project manager for this system development, Robert Taylor, the head of the development department, was an incredibly irresponsible boss. Despite being called as project manager, he dumped all the work on me, the project leader. Richard, this is what the client wants. Make sure to meet these requirements perfectly. Basically, these were the only instructions Robert Taylor ever gave. He would meet with the client, gather their requests, and simply relay them to me. There were no specific instructions on what exactly needed to be done. Even if he told us to do something, we needed him, as the manager, to create a schedule so we could do our work. Hi, Mr. Taylor. We can't proceed with our tasks unless you at least create a schedule and manage the project for us. What? Are you defying me? When I tell you to do something, you do it. You understand that's your job, right? Yes. I'll take care of it. Sure, that's more like it. I'm sure Robert Taylor thinks that being a manager is an incredibly easy job. Just listening to client requests and dumping the work on the project leader. I managed to lead the team and keep development moving forward. But does he understand this is not how things should be? There were other troubles before. Hey, the client said they want this feature added. If we add this now, we'll have to redo almost everything. Seeing the request Robert Taylor brought back, I was shocked. He's supposedly been in system development for about 30 years, but does he not understand the difficulty of adding features midway? Really? Well, I already told the client it would be a piece of cake. Just work some overtime, and it'll be fine, good luck. Despite not understanding the progress at all, Robert Taylor attends all client meetings. In those meetings, to make the group look good, he accepts all sudden client requests without hesitation. He doesn't realize how much trouble his easy promises cause us at the working group level. I've resented his attitude of completely disregarding the field so many times. But as for Robert Taylor, while dumping work on us, he spends most of his time eating snacks while staring at his computer. He even secretly plays online games at times. Due to his lazy days, his belly keeps getting rounder with accumulated fat. While we were exhausted making the system, he neglected his project manager duties and took it easy. Seeing him avoid the hardest part of the development process made me furious. We had to endure changing directives from Robert Taylor and the clients. causing us constant stress until we finally completed the core system. When the system ran smoothly, our exhaustion overshadowed any sense of accomplishment. Hearing the news of the Sky Group's core system completion, Davis Systems' reputation soared. However, Robert Taylor was credited as the project's lead, and he took all the credit, making me feel like flipping my desk in frustration. About 3 months after the core system was completed, we had no major projects and peacefully maintained existing client systems. The Sky Group's core system seemed to be running smoothly. That company is a major corporation that distributes products across the United States. If an error occurred in their core system, it would be a disaster. But for now, there were no signs of trouble, so I felt relieved. However, peaceful times never last forever. When one project ends, another begins. That's the nature of system development work. Robert Taylor comes to us in the development department again. Seeing his smug expression, I had a bad feeling. "Richard." "Yes. We have a new project." Robert Taylor slams the documents onto my desk. They contained information about a new project, probably decided in a recent meeting. Just like with the Sky Group, Robert Taylor was likely appointed as the project manager again. Considering he took all the credit for that project, it was expected. Looking at the documents, this project wasn't as large as the one with the Sky Group. If everything goes smoothly, the system construction should be completed in about a year. Then Robert Taylor says the words I dreaded most, as if it were just normal. "Richard, I'm leaving this entire project to you, got it?" In other words, just like last time, he plans to dump everything on me, the project leader, and just take all the credit. Last time, since the client was the Sky Group, I couldn't abandon it halfway and had to endure his tyranny for years. But this time, I can't agree to his words. "Mr. Taylor, are you planning to dump the project on me again?" "What? Are you defying me? I'm offering you this prestigious job, and you're refusing." "With all due respect, you left almost all the work to me in the last project, didn't you? Knowing you'll take all the credit again, I can't take this job." When I candidly expressed my dissatisfaction from the last project, Robert Taylor raised his eyebrows and retorted, "Hey, acting all high and mighty, do you know how valuable the role of a project leader is?" "Sure, I'm honored to be given the important role of project leader. But I don't feel that way about your projects. No matter how hard I work, doing overtime and dealing with your whims and the client's sudden requests, I don't get the proper recognition. Moreover, you spend all your time playing around and neglect your responsibilities as the person in charge. Why would I want to work in such an environment?" When I retorted, Robert Taylor's face twisted in an obvious grimace. He must have thought I'd always follow his orders. But then he quickly snorted and said defiantly, "Fine, if you're going to be that ungrateful, it's a pity. I don't need your help on my project." He waved me off dismissively. Being treated like a bug made me angry, but I was not willing to let him use me anymore. If I could avoid the assignment, I would welcome it. Still, I wondered who Robert Taylor would appoint if I refused the project leader role. No one seemed capable of handling Robert Taylor's unreasonable demands. Thinking this, I continued with my current tasks. 1 week passed. After finishing some maintenance work outside, I returned. Robert Taylor, with a smug expression, was waiting for me. Feeling uneasy, I asked, "Mr. Taylor, is something wrong?" "I have something for you." He handed me a piece of paper. Reading the contents, I was shocked. "Transfer to Germany. Davis Systems has a branch in Germany." It seemed I was being transferred there. "That's right, you're being transferred to the Germany branch, since you speak German. It's perfect, right? I recommended you. According to company policy, you can't usually refuse a transfer. However, in a conscientious company, they would typically consult with the person beforehand. But this time, there was no such consultation. This transfer to Germany was news to me. "What? I haven't heard anything about this. I told them you'd be fine with it. Plus, an overseas transfer means extra allowances. So your salary will go up. Isn't that great? Robert Taylor must have strongly recommended me to the HR department and the CEO. Despite not getting my consent, they were led to believe I was eager for an overseas transfer. Seeing my stunned expression, Robert Taylor grinned. This is what happens when you defy me. In other words, I was being exiled overseas because I refused his assignment. I wondered what would happen if I declined his nomination, but I never imagined being transferred abroad. Now that the transfer order has been officially issued, it's beyond my control as an employee. To overturn this, I'd have to beg Robert Taylor for forgiveness, but I really didn't want to do that. Why should I beg to a boss who exploits us, whimsically bosses us around, and takes all the credit? I'd rather be transferred overseas than do that, so I reluctantly nodded. Understood? I thought you'd argue more. It's already decided, after all. Not having to work under him anymore wasn't a bad thing. I have experience living abroad, and I speak German. So, I'm less resistant to the idea of an overseas transfer than other employees might be. I felt sorry for my wife and daughter at home, but I knew they'd understand if I explained it. With the allowances from the overseas transfer, I could at least make things easier for them. Thank you for everything. Regarding the transfer, I'd like to hand over the maintenance of the Sky Group's core system. Though the group's core system is running smoothly, it could still encounter errors. If adjustments fail, the system could become damaged and cease to function. So, I needed to pass on the maintenance methods to someone else. However, even though I offered, he didn't seem interested at all. Don't worry about it, it's running fine, right? Yes, but if you can do it, so can I. After all, I made that core system. Don't get cocky. From an objective point of view, all the credit for creating that core system goes to Robert Taylor. Despite not being involved in the development at all, he believes he knows everything about the system. I doubt he understands anything, but if he insists, there's no need for me to take care of it. Understood. I'll leave the core system maintenance to you, Mr. Taylor. Yeah, you go to Germany with peace of mind. Guess I won't see your face again. Honestly, he was an infuriating boss till the end. But knowing I wouldn't have to see him again made me feel relieved. When the employees heard about my transfer to Germany, they were shocked. Many were also anxious about my departure. But it was already decided, so there was nothing to be done. I said goodbye to my colleagues who I had worked with for many years, and bid farewell to my boss and the CEO. On the appointed day, I departed for Germany. I start my first day at Davis Systems' Germany branch. The employees were initially cautious, but when I mentioned I was the project leader for the Sky Group's core system, they welcomed me warmly. The Sky Group is a globally renowned company. The achievement of building its core systems seemed impressive to the employees. Since I spoke German fluently, I quickly got along with the branch employees. Although I was nervous on the first day, by the second day, I began to enjoy my work. Mr. Anderson, if you have any questions or need help, please feel free to ask. Thank you. I'll be sure to ask if anything comes up. So far, there was no boss who dumped all their work on me. I already spoke German and had experience living abroad, so adapting to life here wasn't difficult. Although being away from my family was inconvenient, my daughter was already in high school and quite understanding. The overseas transfer allowance increased my salary, which helped make household chores easier. So, even though I was away, things would be manageable at home. On the third day, as my work in Germany was progressing smoothly, I received a phone call on my work phone from an unexpected person. When I looked, I saw it was Robert Taylor calling me. Honestly, I didn't want to take his call, but since we still worked for the same company, I figured ignoring it would be negligent. Thinking that, I decided to answer the phone. Hello. Useless. The core system you made has shut down. Fix it now. He yelled into my ear, and I couldn't help but grimace. I wondered what he meant by the system shutting down. He should be working on a separate project that has nothing to do with me now. Yelling at me about it seemed completely unreasonable. Then it hit me. Could he be talking about the Sky Group's core system I developed? What do you mean? Are you talking about the Sky Group's core system? Of course, the Sky Group's core system has stopped working, and it's a disaster. Fix it. I understood the gravity of the situation if such a large corporation's core system failed. I had even done a final check before leaving for Germany, not trusting Robert Taylor to handle it alone. How could such a core system stop working after just 3 days? And judging by Robert Taylor's panicked reaction, it was clearly a dire situation. You built the system. Take responsibility. The Sky Group is a publicly traded company that distributes products all over America. I fully understand the gravity of their core system failing. However, no matter what Robert Taylor says, I had no intention of getting involved again. Are you kidding? I was demoted by you, so it's impossible. I was unfairly transferred to Germany for refusing his assignment. I even tried to hand over the core system maintenance, but it was Robert Taylor himself who rejected it. Besides, I'm in Germany, so I can't maintain the Sky Group's core system. Has he forgotten that he boasted there were no issues before my transfer? When I refused, Robert Taylor continued, almost shouting, "Just come back. The executive VP of the Sky Group is furious. If the system stays down, they can't manufacture or ship products. Do you realize the damage caused by 1 day of downtime? Why don't you handle it? After all, you claim to have made the system, right? Stop spouting nonsense. You built that system. I only gave directions. Who was it that said handover is not required because you built it?" I could hear Robert Taylor groaning. It's true that giving directions is the project manager's job. I don't deny that. But you dumped everything on me and only slacked off, never involving yourself with actual work. You never tried to understand what was happening. That's why, when an emergency happens, you're helpless. Isn't that right? It's not wrong to rely on subordinates to handle issues when they arise. However, he always dumped everything and did nothing himself. Not only that, but he deluded himself into thinking he was the best because he directed the project to completion. That's why, in an emergency, he can only rely on subordinates who are no longer there. Would anyone want to help such a pathetic boss? I'm no longer an employee of the headquarters. I have work to do in Germany, so please resolve this with your staff. Goodbye. Hey! Robert Taylor seemed to want to say more, but I hung up the phone without caring. For the next few days, I continued my work in Germany as if nothing had happened. Robert Taylor took all the credit for the core system. Therefore, I don't need to take any responsibility. Even objectively, no one would think I'm responsible for that system. Some time passed, but the core system apparently never recovered. The impact of the Sky Group's core system failure quickly spread across America. Unable to manage inventory, the Sky Group halted production and shipment of their products. Their stores couldn't stock products and had to close temporarily. Complaints from consumers and retailers flooded in, causing the headquarters phones to ring non-stop, and employees were reportedly getting stressed out. Online, wild speculations about the Sky Group situation were rampant, trending on social media daily and causing a frenzy. After this chaotic period, I was finally called back urgently by Davis Systems CEO, Mr. Davis. The headquarters had also been in turmoil these past few days, and Mr. Davis looked completely exhausted. "Richard, I've heard the situation from Mr. Taylor." And Mr. Taylor almost completely abandoned his role as project manager and left nearly all the system construction to you. So, he has no idea how the system works. Finally, it seemed Mr. Taylor confessed the truth. Talking about it must have made him realize how incompetent he was. Mr. Davis sighed deeply. "I apologize for taking Mr. Taylor's report at face value. No problem at all. I'll make sure you're properly compensated. But we can't leave things as they are. The Sky Group's losses are growing daily, and the executive VP is furious, with losses already at $50 million. He spoke in a defeated tone. We can't avoid a lawsuit over who should cover the damages from the system failure. That can be managed. But if the core system isn't restored soon, our company will incur massive losses, lose industry trust, and may even have to shut down. Mr. Davis pleaded with me. You are a brilliant employee who led the project for years and brought the core system to completion. Could you somehow restore the core system with your expertise? I had no intention of getting involved in this matter. I was stripped of all the credit for the core system and then unfairly transferred overseas. If Robert Taylor had asked, I would have definitely refused. However, with Mr. Davis's begging now, I had no other choice. There are many employees in this company who admire me. I couldn't let them be left out in the cold. Understood. I'll give it a try. I had no idea what state the system was in. But I was the one who essentially did both the project manager and project leader's jobs, so I knew the core system best. If anyone could resolve this situation, it would be me. So, I felt I had no choice and agreed to help Mr. Davis. The new project being handled by the development manager was put on hold after explaining the circumstances to the client. They weren't happy, but they understood Davis Systems' situation and reluctantly agreed. By the way, even on this new project, Robert Taylor was planning to dump all the work on the employee appointed as the project leader. I went to the Sky Group to assess the core system's condition. Eventually, I discovered the cause of the system's shutdown. I found the problem. Really? It appears there was a bug in the system. Someone attempted to fix it incorrectly, causing a crash. That's why the entire system went down. As I explained, I realized how chilling the situation was. Robert Taylor likely tampered with the core system despite his limited understanding to cover himself. I had wanted to do a proper handover to prevent this, but what's done is done. Can you fix it? I can, but it will take time. If I have about a month, I should be able to restore it to its original state. I see. Please explain the situation in detail, and I will relay it to the client. I felt bad that it would take a month, but Mr. Davis showed his understanding. While he explained the situation to the Sky Group, I turned to the Davis Systems employees. I'm really sorry to ask this of you. I know it's tough, but could you please help me restore the system? If it's with you, Richard, we can do it. If we don't, the company might go under. Let's do this together. My return seemed to boost the employees' morale despite the dire situation. Just like before, I created a schedule, assigned tasks, and managed progress. Fixing the system crash was extremely challenging. The ongoing losses Sky Group faced while their core system was down added immense pressure on us. Nevertheless, after a month of hard work, we finally succeeded in restoring the core system. Although the system was back up, the Sky Group was still furious due to the extended downtime. Their factories had completely halted. Their stores temporarily closed, and the retail spaces allocated to Sky Group products had already been replaced by competitors. Considering this, there was no way to placate their anger. Under normal circumstances, they would demand compensation and terminate all contracts. However, this core system, which took years to build, cannot be easily replaced. Davis Systems should continue doing business with the Sky Group for now. In the meantime, we must somehow regain their trust. And after restoring the system, there is one more thing to do. Mr. Taylor. Yes. In the CEO's office, Robert Taylor shrank like a scared animal. Mr. Davis, having no time to decide on a punishment, had him help with the system restoration. But a man who had slacked off since becoming department head couldn't help with the restoration. Instead, Robert Taylor was tasked with cleaning the office, serving tea, and buying snacks for the employees. Mr. Davis, addressing the source of all the problems, said, "Do you realize what you've done?" Well, despite being a department head, You abandoned your role as project manager. During work hours, you gorged on snacks, played games, and dumped all your managerial responsibilities on Richard. All his wrongdoings were now exposed. When Robert Taylor caused the system crash, he must have confessed everything. And on top of that, you lied about Richard wanting to work overseas to advance his career and had him sent to the Germany branch without his consent. This left the Sky Group's system without proper maintenance. No, Mr. Davis. What do you mean by saying no? You even tampered with the system to cover yourself, causing it to crash despite having no knowledge. The Sky Group's production and shipping were halted for a month, resulting in $50 million in losses. They will demand compensation from us. We will have to fight in court to reduce this amount. How do you plan to take responsibility for this? Robert Taylor turned pale and desperately tried to make excuses. That's because Richard didn't hand over the system to me. I asked you several times. But you boasted you knew everything about the system because you made it, ignoring my advice completely. Who was that? I coldly retorted, as he tried to shift the blame to me. Realizing there was no escape, Robert Taylor gritted his teeth. You are fired. You don't need to come in from tomorrow. Depending on how the Sky Group proceeds, we might also hold you personally liable for damages. Hearing the words, personal liability, he panicked. No, I can't pay for the damages. Do you understand how much trouble and loss you've caused with your actions? The thought of having someone so irresponsible as a manager is terrifying. But I don't want to hear any more excuses. Get out. As Mr. Davis scolded him, Robert Taylor fled like a frightened rabbit. The Sky Group indeed demanded Davis Systems compensate them for the $50 million loss. However, paying the entire amount would bankrupt Davis Systems, so we negotiated with lawyers. After many discussions, including future business cost reductions, we managed to settle at $25 million. Regarding this issue, Robert Taylor, or rather just Taylor now, was required to pay Davis Systems $100,000 in damages. Compared to $25 million, $100,000 was a pittance. Considering his ability to pay after losing his job, this was the best we could claim. Despite causing the core system to crash and resulting in $50 million in losses, Taylor escaping with just a $100,000 penalty felt unfair to both Mr. Davis and me. However, there was a more amusing twist to this tale. Instead of quietly paying the $100,000, Taylor inexplicably decided to declare on social media that he wasn't at fault. The Sky Group's production halt had been a hot topic online. When the person responsible started spinning a convenient story, the internet erupted. His explanations were clearly self-serving, and he quickly became a laughingstock online. Dumping his work on subordinates meant no one sympathized with him. Ultimately, he became the man who single-handedly destroyed the Sky Group's core system, causing $50 million in losses, and he was forever ridiculed on the internet. Of course, being infamous in such a negative way and being treated as untouchable in the industry meant Robert Taylor had no chance of finding another job. Having exhausted his savings and sold his house to pay the damages, he is now reportedly living on welfare and struggling. Since my transfer to Germany was revealed to be due to Taylor's manipulation, I was able to return to America. My family was happy to hear I could continue working in America. Thanks to my successful management and restoration of the Sky Group's core system project, I received a significant salary and bonus review and was promoted to head of the development department. The employees were thrilled to hear I had become the new department head, as I had often served as project leader before. Previously, working under Taylor as project leader had been dreadful. But now we no longer had an irresponsible boss who dumped work on us and stole our credit. Our hard work would now be properly recognized, creating a truly rewarding environment. We have a new project waiting that was postponed for a month, maintaining the Sky Group's core system and Successfully completing the new project will be crucial steps in restoring Davis Systems' reputation. I take pride in being the one to achieve this for the company. In this renewed environment, I aim to lead Davis Systems correctly as the new department head.